Hi, everyone. I have the honor to present Kirko Papajanis and his topic, how to resonate with your prospective customers. And a little bit about Mr. Kirko is that from technology and operational strategy to marketing, sales, and everything in between, Kirko has worn many hats. Recruited by the founders of Boxpilot in 2001 to build contact center operations for the young company, Kirko's education in mathematics provided practical, data-driven foundation for growth and improvement. In 2008, Kirko was promoted to president of Boxpilot and led the company through a major economic downturn and sustained double-digit year-over-year growth. In 2016, Kirko has led a digital transformation project to make Boxpilot a fully remote-based organization. In 2018, Boxpilot was acquired by a US-based company, and in 2020, in the heart of global pandemic, Kirko was named as Chief Revenue Officer and tasked with pivoting Boxpilot's core offering from a commoditized outbound contact center to something much more meaningful. Today, in the minds of reimagining Boxpilot, Kirko is driving a vision of a sales and marketing future centered around customer experience, insight, timing, and data holistic full customer lifecycle creative opportunity identification machine. It's a big biography.
It's a mouthful, definitely.
Thank you so much. So I'll leave the floor now to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks to Danko and the entire BizV team for having me on. It's really an honor to be presenting to you guys. You know, as was mentioned, my name is Kirko Papajanis. I am the President and Chief Revenue Officer for Boxpilot Marketing Partners. And today I'm going to talk about how we have changed as a company and how we engage, how you would engage with customers in a particularly challenging time, and also how B2B is changing. You know, Boxpilot's been poking around in B2B marketing for, you know, it'll be 25 years actually next year. Our roots are firmly in telemarketing. And what I'm going to share with you guys today has really been a massive shift, a total reset in how we as a company thought about lead development and go-to-market strategy. And really, the genesis of this journey was when Boxpilot was acquired back in 2018. The individual who bought the company had worked with one of the world's most sophisticated B2C marketing companies. And what they taught me was so eye-opening that it forced us to really reset and take a look at our future. Then COVID hit. And the last few years have been pretty crazy. And what I'm going to share with you today is a somewhat crystallized view of how we presently engage in B2B and how it has changed and will continue to change. I say somewhat crystallized mainly because I'm always trying to learn. My insight will always have holes, and I'm always looking for people such as yourselves to help me really refine my thoughts. So without further ado, let's jump into this. So why is a fundamental part of humanity? For millennia, you know, people have been searching for the why of our existence. So it's really only natural that that everything we do is shaped by it. And you know, examining our why has taken us down an interesting path that has really caused us to fundamentally reimagine B2B marketing. And as such, before we think about how we go to market and what we do to go to market, we always think about defining what that why is. So an example I can give you for say an ERP company, perhaps the why may be defined as, you know, all ERPs are monstrously difficult to implement and a pain to use. So we wanted to create one that becomes like an Iron Man suit that allows our users to accomplish so much more without feeling weighed down. Conversely, ERP is one end of the spectrum for, perhaps a commercial cleaning company. Their why may be cleaning standards defined by the recent pandemic should not be reactionary, but rather should be the new standard for business place cleanliness in an effort to mitigate any future outbreaks. For Boxpilot, we defined our why as the existing cacophony of MarTech and agency choices clouds our clients' ability to make informed decisions at the pace of change in the market. We want to silence the noise and be a dependable unifier of B2B marketing and sales. We'll get to the how and the what shortly, but I wanted to talk first about this changing landscape. So if we take a step back and really think about how the way we buy and consume things has changed significantly, you can pretty much order anything on Amazon, have it delivered same or next day. And when you order a toothbrush, they'll suggest to you, perhaps you'd like some toothpaste or floss to go with it. Likewise, if you want to watch a movie, you go on to Netflix and find any movie that they have on there, and then it'll start to build a profile about who you are. For example, you liked Forrest Gump, so you might like Saving Private Ryan, etc. These are examples of companies that have really led the change towards a self-guided, digital-first, streamlined way of buying things, without any sales reps involved. Now, you may be thinking, yes, but B2B is different, but it is trending towards this world. According to the MarTech Alliance, 82% of high performers say B2B and B2C tactics are now overlapping. And, according to Harvard Business Review, 57% of B2B sales is done before a prospect contacts a vendor. Yet, B2B buying committees involve more decision makers than ever before. What this means really is that marketing and sales are happening simultaneously. There is not a traditional delineation between the two groups. And finally, even though all trends indicate a digital-first mindset, the critical importance of human-to-human contact is not lost, and in fact is a fundamental key to forging lasting relationship. So how does that change how we go about our work as marketers and as lead generators? How do we wrap our heads around our customers' buying journey? That's changed fundamentally as well. Anyone who's ever worked in marketing, advertising, sales understands the idea of a funnel-based system. Although the idea of a marketing funnel was originally designed to outline strategy, you'd be hard-pressed to find a company that really hasn't used this idea to talk about tactical marketing and sales practices. For example, so many companies say, well, we'll send 10,000 emails. We'll get 1,000 opens. We'll get maybe 100 clicks. Must be a pretty compelling offer. We'll call those 100 people. Our sales rep could do that pretty quickly. They should be able to do that in a day. Well, in reality, it's probably more like 2 to 4 weeks. And we'll get 10 of them live on the phone. Yeah, right. In their dreams. 3 will be qualified and we'll close a sale. Well, frankly, it's a great close ratio. But aside from that, it seems like a straightforward numbers game, right? Is the messaging important? Only slightly, in that, it could affect your ratios, and, you're taking chances. You're guessing at what the right message is. There's testing involved. The guess might be worse. Do we focus on what the prospect is looking for in the funnel only as it affects ratios? And probably not. We're just trying to get creative new messaging. Bottom line is we end up focused internally at our numbers, and we're not really looking at what the contact has a propensity to like. We provide a single experience for everyone. With today's buyer, this is simply not going to fly. The reality is that a customer's journey can take lots of twists and turns, and those actions can shape a picture of who that person is, and who that person is can define how and when they consume information. And our jobs as marketing and sales experts is to give them what they want. The idea of a customer journey is really the overwhelming trend in the industry. HubSpot talks about a flywheel model where the payoff is in the middle. Salesforce.com talks about customer journey being a trail, and they relate all their content around the trail. The key premise is really, as I mentioned before, a lot of the B2B sales is done before a prospect contacts a vendor. So similar to the ADKAR method of individual change developed by Jeff Hyatt, we propose a similar way to define the stages of a customer's journey. Now, the example I'm giving here is in no ways universal, but it is a framework from which you can build your own customer journey. The goal of this is not only to win clients, but grow a network of champions, cheerleaders of your raison d'etre, advocates of your why story. You'll see, interestingly, that sell is in the middle, not at the end. The reason for this will become clear as we go through the steps. So where does it all begin? Where do we start? The key is to build around our why to how to what model. Spread your story far and wide, spread your customer stories far and wide, create awareness of your value in the world, centered around the why of your existence. So how do we get this done, and what do you do tactically to make it so? Let's have a look. For starters, you need to create content around your story. This tells your tale in a number of different ways: your experiences, your data, thought leadership. You should always have opinions and share them. The goal here should be to seek conversation, not be right. There's merit in disagreement and agreement. Don't be afraid to be edgy and counterintuitive, but do your best to base the opinions on data. Community, be involved in your community, attend events, learn from experts. I learned a lot from listening to a number of my colleagues here present today. It's remarkably important to hear what people have to say, engage in discussions, give kudos, and don't be afraid to disagree. Finally, think about how to elicit emotional response to your content. The more your content stirs feelings, the more memorable and impactful it will be. There's a great article that speaks to this on the Oracle Modern Marketing blog, another great resource that I look at often. So what can we specifically do? Obviously, tell your story, share your why, be passionate about sharing the genesis of your existence. This can really resonate with people and fuel not only inspiration, but enlightenment in some cases. Case studies, share why your customers choose you and your product, share statistics, share details, share personal wins. Sometimes how it personally benefited an individual can be more stirring than great ROI numbers. Case studies are great ways to validate your prospects' feelings and give them a glimpse of the light at the end of the tunnel. One thing to keep in mind, and I will add this, visual content, especially with millennials and Gen Z representing the majority of B2B buyers, visual content that cuts to the chase is critical. Infographics, video, 42% of respondents to Salesforce.com marketing trends report were planning on increasing their video marketing usage. Next ideas here is content curation, syndication networks, and influencers to spread your word. These channels can be invaluable as the lead buyers become predominantly millennials and Gen Z. According to Trust Radius in a 2021 report, over half of lead buyers and finance approvers are now millennials. And with 25% of the B2B workforce now Gen Z, their digital native DNA will surely affect future buying trends. Blogs and vlogs, share your knowledge quickly and easily. Don't think long, boring articles, but rather quick bursts of key metrics and what they meant. And if you want to be more verbose and you want to talk more and have in-depth, long-form discussions, think podcasts. In my opinion, the best way to do this is to really connect with key influencers and have a conversation with them and share the why. And last but not least, buy intent-based data. Depending on your market, there is merit in conducting outbound marketing campaigns to appropriately targeted companies. This can be an important part of awareness campaigns, especially in narrower markets. And really, it can cut through digital clutter and noise. Always think about narrow messaging and never try a one-call close. You're not selling a timeshare. Let's go to the next one here. We've got consideration. Once people are aware you exist and conceptually curious, they'll seek more information. The content you built will give them a means by which to learn more, but there's more. We need to feed our prospects relevant information and be prepared to answer their questions when they want answers. This goes towards this instant gratification mindset that has gripped our world. How do we do it? Your website, it has to be intuitive. It has to be clear, easy to navigate, and a personalized experience. More on that in a sec. Social, share specific information on social media, numbers, experiences. Even better if it's your customers saying it. Attention, be ever present to answer questions. If someone has questions and they ask you, make sure you can answer them. Build a profile of your contact. Web pages, what web pages the contact has looked at, what social media do they use? Do they like web chat, email, phone, text, WhatsApp? Who do they work with and what is their role in the buying decision? Track it all in a single place of truth, your CRM. Build a profile of their company. Account-based marketing lets you understand the pain points of the company. What does the org chart look like? The buying roles and lots of other information specific to that company. It's no wonder that according to Salesforce.com's marketing trends report for 2022, relative to other marketing activities, account-based marketing delivers 97% higher ROI. And finally, last but not least, personalization. The profiles that you built plus data allow you to understand what your prospects want to know, to understand what's important to them in their companies and serve them information that really seems uniquely tailored to them. So what can we do to accomplish this? How do your customers find your website? And once they're there, how do they navigate it? You know, Google Analytics is a great tool to understand what pages are resonating with people and what pages they have no interest in. Define social media platforms to be involved with. Don't discount traditionally B2C places, TikTok, Instagram. Be there if it's appropriate for your company. You can target really well on most platforms. One thing that you should be mindful of is paid media advertising is fairly fraught these days. Modern buyers use ad blockers. They don't like clicking on ads because it seems marketing-y. So just be aware of where you invest strongly. Web chat, human and chatbot, phone number, call or text, all of the above, and be responsive. Nurture the relationship with personalized communication using the channels that they prefer and have respect for their role. An example of this, you know, if your contact is junior, you know, it's really smart to arm them with meaningful data and even do the legwork. create presentations for them to sell it up the chain of command. If they're senior, be super respectful of their time and, give them data. Senior people really engage well with statistics. And of course, keep everything in your CRM. Next up, we have sell. As people consider their purchase choice and weigh the purchase decision, especially in B2B, they'll involve other people on the team. They'll run things past finance for clarity on budgeting. They'll think about risk and inherent hurdles and implementation with their team, how your product will work in sharing that responsibility with their team. So we have to make sure that this process is as frictionless as possible. By now, we've talked about building a profile of the company that you're targeting. So you should have a good idea of what part each contact plays in getting the deal across the finish line. Your communication should echo your knowledge of their roles. So don't talk to a junior person about POs. Don't belabor a VP with tactical setup details. KPIs, what results are important to your customer? Understand what motivates them can help you close the deal. Cost benefit, if there is visibility into what returns will be and how they relate to the expenditure, it can make the final buying decision easy. If it's reasonable to have guarantees, even better. A clean configure price quote process, PO process, credit card acceptance, legal forms at the ready, and all the rest are really remove impediments to closing a deal. Think through this process. Think about it from the customer's mindset and make it work. And finally, define the next steps. Make sure your clients know what happens after the deal is signed. There's nothing worse than signing a deal with a company and then hearing crickets and no next steps defined. So what do? Build pricing dynamically based on what returns the clients need. This is not always possible, but in an ideal circumstance, if you can understand what the returns look like, you can build a pricing model dynamic to those needs. Offer guarantees, service level guarantees, returns, uptime, availability. Any guarantee that you can legitimately uphold can ease a buyer's mind. You want to de-risk the purchase process, and this is a great way to do it. Client portals tied to project management and service systems offer great onboarding experience and give your client a central place to know that they're part of your ecosystem. And the transition to the service team is all important at this turn point as well, as we'll learn. So we've closed the sale, now what? You cannot rest on your laurels at this stage. It's critical to maintain your diligence. How you treat your customer at this stage can either create your best ever marketing and sales resource or the eternal thorn in your side. Once again, your profile of key people comes into play. Your reporting can be tailored to motivations. You can proactively bring to light details that are meaningful to your specific contacts. Availability, your team should be ready to respond across all channels. Take ownership. Everyone makes mistakes. What differentiates a poor customer experience from really a fantastic one is how those mistakes are dealt with. Taking ownership, being communicative, offering timely remedies, all contribute to a trustful relationship. Give your client the ability to contribute by making their experience better, by giving them a means to share their experience with you, good or bad. These are learning opportunities either way. Sometimes clients are not keen to share their experiences, and you need to elicit feedback. So let's move on to the last stage here, which is loyalty. Appreciation can really take many forms. Anything from wishing someone a happy birthday taking them to dinner when you're in town, sending them a Christmas card. Small things can add up to a hyper loyal champion. So how do we do it? Sweat the small stuff. Remember birthdays, anniversaries, kids' birthdays. If they've been on vacation, know the specifics. Build real relationships. If you actually care about your customers, this is often reciprocated. Be truthful, transparent, and available. High emotional intelligence really pays off. And provide consistent value. Obviously, nothing says a loyal customer more than someone who consistently sees value. And how we do that is things we've talked about. Service portal and CRM come into play again. Make sure you have the details noted and act on information accordingly. And last, but certainly not least, make sure you engage with your customers face to face. Whether it's in person or on Zoom because of distance, instilling loyalty requires more than email communications, even for Gen Z. I want to stop at this point and open it up to a question or two. I know we're short on time. I told you, Danko, I'd break the time.
I was aware you love to talk a lot, and I'm in the same field, but then we should actually meet up after this summit over a beer, a virtual beer, because you're currently in Canada, if I'm right. And I'm here in Macedonia, so we can have an online beer.
Sounds good.
Let me just have a quick look at the questions.
Sure.
One question that came up was the stages that you had, the awareness, the consideration, the sell, the service, and the loyalty. Who should manage this whole process? Should it be managed by sales?
That's a very good question. It should be ideally managed by a combination of marketing and sales, because at the end of the day, the key here is that marketing and sales happens simultaneously in this workflow. They work inherently together. In our organization, I mean, that's where the role of CRO came to be, Chief Revenue Officer. It's one point of responsibility for both the sales and the marketing streams.
Nice. Thank you very much, Kirko. That was the only question that I had here in front of me, and we're finishing actually with the time frame. So Monica is coming up.
All right. Thank you, Danko.
Perfect. Thank you, Kirko.